Good morning, ladies. My name is Paula Dunn, and welcome to the Limited Edition Leadership Academy. Now, for those of you who are just tuning in for the very first time, I am a leadership expert for teenage girls, and specifically, I help girls create confidence to conquer life their way. Now, today's topic is what we're going to look at is looking at 5 ways to overcome the anxiety of or the fear of repeating year 12. So there's been talk in the media today that there are concerns about how the coronavirus is going to be impacting those specifically in year 12 in their final years of high school, and how that is going to impact their ATAR marks at the end of the year. Now, if this is the first time you're tuning in, I do urge you to start playing my videos from the beginning to give you some context around the fear and anxiety that I've been talking about over the past week, and how you can slowly build resilience to those fears and anxiety that you're currently feeling. Now, does any of these sound familiar to you? You overthink things a lot and before you take action. Maybe sometimes you lie awake at night in bed, wondering, thinking about everything that's happened throughout the course of the day. Maybe you're prone to making negative predictions about things. This is a term called catastrophizing, where we think worst case scenario. Perhaps you take negative feedback very hard. So it's really hard to get sort of that constructive feedback. As a result, maybe you're feeling a bit critical about yourself. So, you're very judgmental on yourself, you're very hard on yourself, and that increases your stress levels as well. And anything less than perfection feels like a failure. So, this is where you feel like you either give it your all or nothing. It's like that all or nothing effect. If any of these sound like you, I've had all of those characteristics myself when I was your age. And I'll tell you what, year 12 was the most stressful and hardcore year of my life. I recall back then that if I didn't get into university, I was going to end my life. Now, I hadn't told anybody about this because of the shame and the guilt that I felt, and feeling that if I didn't get into university, I'd feel like a failure, like a loser. So the reason why I'm here today is that I want to help you overcome those fears, because I don't want you to go through what I went through the hard way. So, and even more so, I didn't have the coronavirus in my year 12 to deal with. It was all in here. So, what we can do, as we know, the word mental health and mental health crisis and issues and anxiety and depression are very prominent in our society. Now, what I like to do is that, anxiety is really another form for fear. Now, if we can control these fears, then we can control our anxiety. And how powerful would that be if we could do that? So, how do we go about doing that first and foremost? Well, what we need to do is we need to work out what we can control and what we can't control in life. So, let's look at what we can't control and get that big fat pink elephant out of the room. Okay, so at the moment, what we can't control is our environment. It's the situation with the coronavirus, its impact on us attending school face to face. It's causing us to be in social isolation, being stuck at home with our parents 24/7. Now, a lot of the time, being a teenager, that's not always a fun thing to do, and even more difficult for those teens that are in an environment that might be not very safe for them to be in, so such as domestic violence in environments. So I really feel for you kids at that point in time, if you are going through something that's a bit of in addition to what's going on in the world. But what I want to focus on is what we can control. And what we can control is ourselves. It's how we react and respond to the environment. And there are 5 things that we actually do have control over, which I want you to focus on today. Now, those 5 things that we can focus on will minimize the stress, anxiety, and overwhelm that you are currently feeling. And it gives you your power back. And that's what I'm all about. It's about giving you your power to become a victor, not a victim of the circumstances around you. Now, for those that don't want to repeat year 12 this year, put your hand up. Awesome. Now, there are going to be 5 ways that you can prevent repeating year 12 if the worst case scenario happens. Now, number 1, if you haven't looked at the confidence wheel in the previous episodes, I urge you to go back and take stock of where you're at. But for those that have just joined today, we're going to talk about the five aspects of the confidence wheel that you can control, right? And what you can do about it today to give you that certainty, that confidence, and that will to keep going no matter what. Because I'm here for you and I'm here rooting for your team. So let's look at your goal. So are you very clear on your goal and what you want out of it? So if at the end of this year you want to make it into university, that is your goal. Regardless of how you get there, that is your end goal. So you're not going to change it. You're not going to go lower. You're not going to aim higher. You're going to go for what you truly desire. Okay. Now, the other thing that we really need, which is really, really important, is support. Now, what kind of support do you have in your vicinity? You know, are your parents there supporting you? Do you have friends? Do you have accountability buddies or little groups at school that you can do a Zoom call with while you're at home or FaceTime? All you need is one really good friend, somebody who's going to be there, who's going to bat in your corner, who's going to egg you on, and you're going to do the same for her. That's all you need. If you can have more than a few, at least there's 4 of you in a group, even better. Because sometimes there might be somebody who's not available at that point in time that you need them. So it's good to have another 3 people that you can call upon. Okay. The other support is, you know, if you're not achieving the academic results that you need, if you're in an environment now that's causing you to struggle in your learning, in your understanding, because you like to be more face-to-face with people, you like to be in a classroom environment where you can gain that exposure, that hands-on experience, then you need to get that support that you need. It's not that you're not capable. It's not that you're dumb. It's the fact that you're in a learning environment that's not helping you thrive. So you need to talk to your teachers specifically and get the advice and support that you need from your school. Now, if it's an academic thing where you're not grasping concepts appropriately and your teachers are stressed at the moment and they're not giving you that one-on-one attention that you would normally achieve when you're at school, then I urge you to get yourself a tutor. Get yourself some tutors. If your parents can afford it, I urge you to get some additional support to help you with your academic performance. If you need a good recommendation, I know someone, so hit me up and I can give you someone's details. Also, if it's a psychological thing, now if you're really, really, really not coping with the stress and anxiety at all, I urge you to go and see your GP, get a mental health assessment, and get whatever you need necessary to keep your mind focused and in control. Now, if it's not that bad, then you might need somebody like myself, who's a coach and a leadership expert that can help you steer the ship and guide you in the right direction, and minimize that stress and anxiety for you. And if that's the case, also hit me up in the comments below. I will have my website and details at the end. Now, support is very important because, to be honest, every successful person can never do things alone. It's always who is around you. Now, if there's anybody in your life right now that's causing you added stress, negative, then if it's possible, cut them off. If they're not family, sometimes it's difficult. But if they're friends that are toxic to you, you need to cut them off right now. You need to put them aside and just focus. You don't need to argue with them or break up with them totally, but just put them aside and minimize your stress as much as possible. Now, the reason why I've stressed the goal and I've stressed the support, because those things are gonna push you forward when it comes to motivation and getting your butt into gear for studying and getting in the zone, because you want other people that are going to match and mirror those motivation skills for you, those internal drivers and external drivers. So if you like to compete, then maybe be with people that are high achieving and they like to compete, and if that drives you and motivates you, then great. hang out with people like that. If it's more that you need somebody who's going to support you when you feel like you're failing and you're not good, and you want somebody who's going to encourage you positively, then hang around people like that. That will feed your desire to keep going. Whatever the case may be, we want to turn your motivation into a positive, into a pleasurable experience rather than something that's negative, and that's something you have to avoid, because we can't avoid these things. We have to face them head on. And time management. Time management is critical. Now, the benefit is that you don't have to travel to and from school, right? So you've got all this free time now. And if those that were participating in a lot of extracurricular activities that involve being outdoors and being in teams, and now a lot of that's been cut, it gives you a lot more focus now and ample time to really hone in on your academic prowess and get you to the speed of where you need to be. But at the same time, you need to go out and get yourself some fresh air. Make sure you build in some routines for exercise, for some mindfulness activities, and so forth. So we come to the end of today's session, and I do hope that the 5 tips that I gave you today, which is getting control of your goals, your motivation, your academic achievements, your time management, and the support, is critical. So if you haven't had the opportunity as yet to really do a deep dive in those, I urge you today to start focusing on those. If you need more support, I'm around. I will also be hosting a 3-hour confidence workshop on the 15th of April, so just after Easter. So if you'd like to do more of a self-development deep dive, I'm offering, there's about 15 seats available for that 3-hour workshop, and I'll have the link in my channel as well for you to see if that's a best fit for you. Now, tune in tomorrow, and we'll continue going on the fear and anxiety scale and go into some of the behavioral aspects that stop us from achieving our best performance. So have a great day, and don't forget to be you, have courage, and live life without limits. See you later.